Okay, now I'm going to begin on the quiz. As I do these examples and explain some of the points, hopefully that will also explain a lot of what you're supposed to be looking at in the chapter, in Chapter 4. The quiz for Unit 2 has 5 questions from Chapter 4, 2 I think from Chapter 5, and 3 from Chapter 6. So we'll do our best to go through this, and you'll see there's some repetition just because it's so important that you be able to be comfortable in making these calculations. Let's look at quiz question number 1, which is from Chapter 4, question 2 at the top of page 115. And it says, calculating future values. For each of the following, compute the future value. And this is pretty clear what I was saying before, that you're given 3 variables, you solve for the 4th one. The 4th one in this case is the future value. But all 3 variables are changing: the number of years, the interest rate, and the present value. And you have 4 numbers that you have to do here. 4 calculations you have to do. So remember what I said before about first figuring the 3 variables. So we need to know which of the 3 we're going to use here. And the first thing is the present value. So that's the 3rd one over. Present value, we're also going to use the interest rate, and we're going to use the number of periods. And then we're going to solve each time for the last one on the right, the 3rd row, the future value. Now remember, when you put money into a project, you are going to make it a negative number. The present value is money invested. It's an expense, a capital cost. So that's a negative number. Money is leaving, and then the future value, the money's coming back. So then, let's take a look at the example chapter review on page 113, 1 page over. Calculating future values. Assume you deposit $1,000 today in an account that pays 8% interest. How much will you have in 4 years? This is exactly the same question as our quiz question on the next page, on chapter 4, number 2, calculating future values. That's what we're doing. But I'm just looking at it a different way. You deposit $1,000. That's the present value, money in. And then it pays 8% interest. How much will you have in 4 years? So when you take out our calculator, we're going to, first of all, clear it of any other numbers that have been stuck in there. And so let's put this in. We have $1,000, 1,000, negative, and then press PV. That's the present value, and it will say at the top, in the screen at the top, PV equals minus 1,000. The second variable is 8% interest. You press the number 8, then press I/Y. Usually percent is 0.08 for 8%, but the calculator already knows you're talking about a percent, so you just put 8, unless it's 8.5%, then you put 8.5, but the decimal doesn't need to be put in there. 8%, press I/Y, and then now in the window it'll say I/Y equals 8.0. And then the other thing is, how much will you have in 4 years? 4 years is the number of periods, so every year it earns 8%. So you press the number 4 and N, and now it says N at the screen, N equals 4. Now, what we're solving for is future value. What will it be worth in 4 years, $1,000 with 8% compounded interest? On the top row, left corner is CPT, or compute. Press compute, and then press future value, and it will say $1,360.50. That's how you do the quiz question. It's exactly the same. There's some formulas involved, but the formulas are all here in the calculator to make it a lot simpler for you. All right, let's go on to quiz question 2. It's chapter 4, question 12 on page 116. Again, calculating future values. Your coin collection contains 50 1952 silver dollars. If your grandparents purchased them for their face value when they were new, how much will your collection be worth when you retire in 2060, assuming that they appreciate at a 5.7% annual rate? We got 50 $1 coins. They were worth, in 1952, they're all worth $1, $50. And we are then extending that to the year 2060. 2060 minus 1952 is 108 years. So, what are the three variables? What is the fourth one we're solving for? Now, the fourth one we're solving for, it says right there, and the problems that we're trying to solve for future value, just like the quiz question we just worked on. So, you'll look in there, you're looking for N, what's the number of periods? What is the interest rate? What is the present value? Make it negative before you input it. And then you do compute FV, and that gives you the future value. All right, quiz question 3. Quiz question 3 is chapter 4, number 14. Calculating the rate of return. In 2006, a gold $3 coin minted in 1879 was auctioned for $9,000. For this to have been true, what was the annual increase in the value of the coin? Okay, let's go back to the same thing I mentioned, is that we're given 3, we're solving for the fourth one. The 3 we're being given involve the, it says in the title for this problem, calculating the rate of return. That's the fourth one. What's the interest rate per year? How did it appreciate over time? Obviously, it didn't appreciate the same rate every year, but we're doing an average rate of appreciation over this very long period of time. From a $3 gold coin is now worth $9,000, or it was in 2006. So we have, you take 2006, subtract 1879, that gives you the number of years. You have the beginning price, you have the ending price, and you solve or compute for the I/Y, and that will give you the number. If you do not make the present value negative, then and you have future values positive and present values positive, and you press compute I/Y, there will be an error message on your screen because the calculator is confused. It knows that's impossible. Error means the calculator didn't make an error. The person putting the data in made the error. Quiz question 4, which is chapter 4, number 24, calculating present values. Here you need $75,000 in 10 years is what it says. You can earn 0.55% per month. How much will you have to deposit today? All right. Now, I just give you a little heads up on this. Listen to what the textbook writer is saying. They're saying you can earn 0.55% per month. Okay? It's not an annual rate of it, it's a monthly. That's the period. So, in order to make sure you don't mess this up, you know what the future value is, you know what the percent is, but you then will have to change the number of periods. It's not going to be 10. It's 10 years in there, it does say that. But it's not an annual rate of return. So you need to figure out how many periods on this interest rate, and it explains it, it's 0.55% monthly. So change the n, not 10, it's a different number, but what would it be? 10 years, what? Let's look at the one right below that, calculating present values. You have decided that you want to be a millionaire when you retire in 45 years. You can earn a 12% annual return. How much do you have to invest today? What if you can earn 6%? Aha. So let's just have some fun with this. This is very similar to the one to 24. I'm doing 25 just as an illustration. In 25, it says, you've decided you want to be a millionaire when you retire in 45 years. So we know that the future value is $1 million. Okay, we know that number. We've given 3, we're solving for 4. And it says we're solving for present value, so we know what that is. What are the other 2? We're given future value, it's $1 million. The number of periods, in this case, is 45 years. So n equals 45. And we can earn a 12% annual return. In this case, we're getting once a year it earns 12%, which of course is not the way things grow anyway. But 12 would go into I/Y. So let's just do that. Let's do that together and we'll see what our answer should be. And then you will use this as a model for doing 24. 45n, 12 I/Y, 1 million, future value, compute present value, and that answer, it will say negative, but really it's just ignore the negative sign. $6,098.02 would be what you would invest today, assuming a 12% return over 45 years to give you $1 million. Pretty good return. All right, let's one last one here for chapter 4 to find the chapter 4 problem 18, calculating future values. Oh, you have just made your first $5,000 contribution to your individual retirement account. Assuming you earn 11% rate of return and make no additional contributions, what will your account be worth when you retire in 45 years? What if you wait 10 years before contributing? Now that's still 35 years, but there's a delay. So what we're going to look at here is we're being given 3, the time frame, the present value, and the rate of return. The only thing we're changing, and the present value. Yeah, present value, interest rate, and time. And then you can find what's the future value. And what you'll find is that waiting 10 years to get started has a high cost in the total return that you're going to have. So again, you're putting the time in at 45 or 35, 5,000 negative because it's money out, it's money being invested, and then your interest rate, and then you compute or solve for the future value. So I'm going to stop here for chapter 4 and get set up for looking at chapter 5, on which there's a couple of quiz questions, and then I'll do another section and do chapter 6.